Welcome back, children of grade 8, for our today's English class. Children, as we are going to face our periodic test 2, so this session is going to be a revision session. So let's see the portions and the revision part one by one. Children, before getting into the revision part, let's see the exam date and the timing. So you are going to write your English exam on 7th by the time evening 5 to 6. And the marks that you are going to write your periodic test to is 30. So be clear in this, children, and let's see the portion clearly one by one for the periodic test 2. Children, listen carefully. This is the portion for your periodic test 2. First part, that is your literature part. So you are going to have unit 4 and 5 in prose area. Here chapter 4, Bipin Chowdhury's Lapse of Memory, and chapter 5, The Subject Within. That is the two prose you are going to have. Then coming to the poem area, you have fourth poem, that is The Last Bargain. Then the supplementary reader part, you're going to have 4th and 5th chapter, that is The Treasure Within, 4th chapter, and the 5th chapter, Princess September. So these are the things you're going to have in the literature part. So that's all from the literature area. Let's move on to the composition area. Here you're going to have 3 composition, first 3 composition, that is formal letter, informal letter, and notice writing. Then moving on to the grammar part, you are going to have 4th and 5th chapters. Children, let's move on to the rapid revision of the portions for the periodic test 2. Let's start our first unit, chapter 4, prose, Bipin Chowdhury's Lapse of Memory. So let's revise and see the summary of the story now. Let's see the summary of chapter 4, prose, Bipin Chowdhury's Lapse of Memory. So look at here, children, the summary of the story. Bipin Chowdhury's Lapse of Memory is a humorous story about a man, Bipin Chowdhury. He is the protagonist of the story who thinks he is sick. Protagonist means main character, children. So he is the main character of the story who thinks he is sick. Sick means not feeling well. Then look at the next paragraph. The story begins by telling us about a man named Bipin Chowdhury. So this story is about the man Bipin Chowdhury only. So the story also begins with the man named Bipin Chowdhury. It was his habit to visit a bookshop and buy books of his liking. So he had a habit of visiting to the bookshop, had a habit of buying books and reading it. One day, on such a visit, a man approaches him. He tells Bipin that his name is Parimal Ghosh and is an old acquaintance of his from his Ranchi trip. So, acquaintance means a person who knows slightly but not a close friend. That is known as acquaintance, children. So here, as one day our character protagonist Bipin Chowdhury, he came to visit the same bookshop. There he met a man. His name was Parimal Ghosh. He is an old acquaintance. Acquaintance means a person who is known to him slightly but not a close friend. So he just told about the Ranchi trip that he had met the man Bipin Chowdhury. So here the man Parimal Ghosh, he is just telling about the Ranchi trip. There he met our protagonist Bipin Chowdhury. So look at the third paragraph, children. At first Bipin is convinced the man is confusing him for someone else. First, in the beginning, Bipin thought that the man is somewhat confused and he's just talking about someone else. But however, when Parimal reveals the personal detail about him, he gets confused. So one by one, when Parimal Ghosh started to say about his personal detail, he got confused. Bipin cannot remember any of the incident the man was talking about. So the Parimal Ghosh, whatever he is just telling about Bipin, but Bipin cannot recall all the incident that what the man is pinpointing and talking about him. In fact, he has never been to Ranchi. So here Bipin, he completely forgot about that incident about Ranchi and the trip about Ranchi, but the man who met Bipin Chowdhury in the bookshop, Parimal Ghosh, he is just telling everything about the personal details of Bipin as well as the Ranchi trip to him. That's all from the third paragraph, children. Move on to the fourth paragraph here. The man then says that Dinesh Mukherjee was also on the trip. He may confirm it with him. So also he is just telling about a man who was named as Dinesh Mukherjee. Bipin does not pay much heed. Heed means attention to this. Doesn't want to pay much attention to this man, that is Parimal Ghosh. Now Bipin was very much confused as he cannot remember that particular incident only. So fifth paragraph here. Now Bipin Chowdhury was really confused and he couldn't recall the incident. That he start worrying and feels he is losing his memory. Immediately he started to feel for his loss of memory, that is lapse of memory. That's what the title, Bipin Chowdhury, lapse of memory. Lapse means losing of memory. Now Bipin asked the doctor for a remedy. So here now Bipin asked the doctor for a remedy, for a solution for this loss of memory to a doctor. This confuses the doctor as well as he has not seen a case like this before. Even the doctor got confused and he told that he never seen such a case in his lifetime. All from the fifth paragraph, children. Let's move on to the sixth paragraph here. The doctor advises Bipin to visit Ranchi. So after this checkup from the doctor advised him to visit Ranchi to get rid of this problem. Here, he thinks that revisiting the place may bring back memories he thinks he has forgotten. The doctor is telling that when you revisit that place, maybe you could have get the memories again back to the original. So Bipin even takes a trip there, but still he does not remember the thing. So here, after even Bipin visited the place Ranchi, still he doesn't remember the memories again. He couldn't recall the memories again. He now starts worrying and calls for the doctor. So here he is just worrying a lot about his losing of memory and he is just calling back to the doctor again, and who will come later. So that's all from this page. Let's move on to the next page. Before the doctor arrives, Bipin learns the truth. His friend Chuni Lal. So this is the twist and the turning point of this story. Before the doctor arrived, here Bipin got the truth. He ruled out the truth of that incident, Ranchi trip. So his friend, one of his close friend Chuni Lal, played a practical joke on him to take revenge. So only because of his close friend Chuni Lal, this Ranchi confusion and the confusion to Bipin was happened because of the friend Chuni Lal. He played a practical joke on taking as a revenge on Bipin Chowdhury. Once Chuni was a dire need of a job. So one Chuni Lal was very poor and he suffered a lot because of jobless. He just dared to need of a job. He just asking for a job. But Bipin could not help him, so he avoided him. Here, in this situation, Bipin Chowdhury, he could not help the person, Chuni Lal, his close friend, so he avoided him. That is the reason Chuni Lal took a revenge and he played a trick over him. And he sent a person called Parimal Ghosh, and he confused him and he made confused. So that he had a problem of lapse of memory. Thus Chuni Lal did all this to take revenge from him. This angers Bipin, but it also gives him that he is fine and not losing his memory. So that's all. Finally, at last, Bipin got angry as well as, and he came to a conclusion that he don't have any problem. He is good and fine, and he don't have any losing in his memory. There is no problem in him in his memory. Finally, when the doctor arrives, he lies to him instead of admitting that it is a prank. He says that visiting Ranji brought his memories back and he is fine now. So at last the doctor arrives there in this place before the Chunilal, and he just lied to the doctor that after visiting the Ranji trip he got all the memories back, as it's true it was happened on his life. So he behaved like a good and well-mannered person. He didn't disclose that one of his friend played a trick and took it as a revenge. He just lied to the doctor and said after visiting the place he could brought out all his memories back, and now he is well and good. Now he is fine at last. So that's all from the summary of the chapter 4, that is prose, Bipin Chowdhury's lapse of memory. So let's see the conclusion part of this story also. So conclusion of Bipin Chowdhury's lapse of memory. This is a very funny story which tells us about a practical joke that a friend plays on another friend out of spite for not helping him in the time of need. It teaches the lesson of us, you sow, so shall you reap. So whatever you are just doing, that you have to reap it again. That is the proverb here. So it is a proverb. It tells us a lesson, as you sow, so shall you reap. So whatever you are sowing, that you are going to reap. So that is what the conclusion and the moral of this story, children. So don't avoid your friends when they are in the needy. Please help them needy time, and definitely one day the help will come to you again. So that is the moral of the story. Chapter 4, prose, Bipin Chowdhury's lapse of memory. So that's all. We have completed summary of the 4th chapter, children. Let's move on to the 5th chapter and the summary now. Children, let's see the next chapter, that is Unit 5, prose, the submit within. Let's revise and see the summary of the story now. Then let's see the summary of chapter 5, prose, the summit within. Look at the summary here. The author and the narrator of this chapter is Major H.P.S. Ahluwalia. So the author of this story and the narrator of this chapter is Major H.P.S. Ahluwalia. The author here describes his experience and feelings standing on the Mount Everest. So here in this chapter he is just describing his own experience and feelings about the Mount Everest, climbing over the Mount Everest. Major Ahluwalia was a member of the Indian expedition. Expedition means mountain climbing to Mount Everest. It was the first successful expedition and took place in the year of 1965. So it was the first successful expedition and it happened in the year 1965. He was too tired physically when he reached the Everest. He felt humble, joyful, and also sad at the same time. Also, he was very thankful to God. Very tired physically, but when he reached the Everest, and he felt very happy at the same time, he thanked the God wholeheartedly. So that's all from the first paragraph of this summary, children. Let's see the next paragraph. After climbing the Everest, he concluded that to climb a summit, a person requires endurance, persistence, and willpower. So after climbing the Everest, he just concluded and he told about the experience that a person who wants to climb the summit, he needs to have all these qualities, that is endurance, persistence, and willpower. He further says that he loves the mountains and has a strong urge to climb them. The obstacles in climbing the mountains attract him. He also says that after looking down from the peak of the Mount Everest, he felt that all the efforts was worth it. So here he is just telling about the experience and the obstacles what he faced while he was climbing the mountain. He says that he loves to climb the mountain. After he reached the mountain, he thought of that all the obstacles are worthful. So all the obstacles are worth for the effort. According to him, we all have a peak inside us. So he is just comparing the Mount Everest with the human life, that he is telling that we all have a peak inside us that we need to climb. So he is just telling about the inner mountain that was inside one's heart, and that everyone should climb. So that is the thing he is just conveying here by comparing the Everest, Mount Everest. Both climbing the Everest peak and the internal peak change you. So in this paragraph he conveyed about the experience of his mountaineering to Mount Everest. So that's all from the second paragraph, children. Look at the third paragraph here. In the year 1965, the expedition of Mount Everest was the first successful expedition. Edmund Hillary and Major Ahluwalia were also a part of this expedition. So that expedition, mountaineering is the expedition, climbing the mountain. So in that team, Edmund Hillary and Major Ahluwalia were also there in that expedition. This chapter is a remnants of this expedition by Major Ahluwalia. So here in this chapter, he remnants means just recalling of that experience by the Major Ahluwalia. He says that standing on the peak of the Mount Everest, he felt humble, joyful, though he was physically tired. So even though he was physically tired, once he reached the Mount Everest, he felt very joyful and he felt humble also. He felt that this joy will remain with him all his life, was thus thankful to God, and he felt joy and he just thanked the God Almighty also. Also he was sad somewhere. So in between he also sad somewhere. So he was not sure about the reason. He thought that it was because now there is no higher peak to climb. So he is just telling that this is the one of the most highest peak in the world. Then there is no peak in the world like this hereafter. Sadness and the reason for that sadness he is telling here. In spite of climbing this summit, so here he is telling in the next paragraph, in spite of climbing this summit, he thinks that there is also another summit that we need to climb. It is the summit of our minds. So climbing the summit is the one need to climb, and also the another summit, that is our minds, that also to be climbed by oneself. So that is the meaning here. As per his observation, he said that a person requires three qualities to climb any summit, whatever the summit it is. So a person should need these three qualities to climb the summit. What are the three qualities? That is endurance, hard work without losing hope, and willpower. So these are the three qualities one must have to climb the summit. Endurance, persistence, and willpower be the three qualities which a person needs to overcome the obstacles of his life. And every person thus enjoys overcoming the obstacles. So that's all from this paragraph, children. Let's move on to the next paragraph here. On the question of why he chose to climb the Everest. So the interviewer, he is asking this question to Major H.P.S. Ahluwalia, why he chose to climb the Everest. So he says that he loves the mountains. So that was the answer from our author and the narrator, our major HPS Ahluwalia. As Mount Everest is the highest of them all, and it is a great struggle against rock and ice to climb it. So it is a great struggle against the rock, ice to climb on it. He finds it very challenging. So he just enjoy the challenge. He finds something challenging. He wants to do something challenging. So that's why he selected the Mount Everest to climb. He says that he was a strong urge to face the challenge and overcome the obstacles. Face the challenges, and he wants to overcome all those obstacles to reach the Mount Everest. All to him, the joy of climbing Mount Everest is too much, as only a few can manage to do this. So, as it is the highest peak in the world, only few can manage to do this. So, everyone cannot do this. Everyone cannot manage that obstacles. Only few can manage those obstacles. He adds here that climbing Everest is not just a physical achievement, but also is an emotional and spiritual experience also. So he is just telling as a conclusion, he just added this as that climbing Everest is not just a physical achievement, but it is also an emotional and spiritual experience also. This success has brought to him fame and also fulfillment in his life. Mount Everest has brought him name. Fame means popularity. Fame, popularity, and also fulfillment, that is physical fulfillment as well as emotional and spiritual fulfillment. So look at the next paragraph here. He further says that the summit is also a lesson of companionship. So he just telling that this summit also is a lesson of companionship. Two people share the same rope while climbing the mountain. So two people have to share the same rope while climbing the mountain. So that is the thing here about the companionship. So one climber needs to hold the rope firmly while the other one cuts the steps into the hard ice. So this is the way they just helped each other and they learned the lesson of companionship. So here one should need to hold the rope tightly and other should walk by cutting the steps in the hard ice. Second one, then Belayance means overcome, and the first 1 inch is way up. It is a very difficult for a single man to think of climbing a mountain. It is very difficult. Only the person needs physical as well as emotional support. They need physical as well as emotional support of their parents. So those who climb the Mount Everest, they need some physical as well as emotional support from their parents. Then only they can achieve their goal. And the hardship that he faced in his mountaineering. Children, look at the next paragraph here. Ahluwalia further states that after reaching the peak of Everest, they all bowed down to God. So after they reached successfully to the peak of the Mount Everest, they all bowed. Bow means just down, and they were thanked their God Almighty. They left a picture of Guru Nanak. One of a team member who left a picture of Guru Nanak, God left a picture of Goddess Durga. So one who left a picture of Guru Nanak, Rawat, who is a person, team member who left the picture of Goddess Durga, and Fudurji left a lyric of God Buddha. Fudurji is a person, member of the mountaineering, and he left a lyric. Lyric means statue of Lord Buddha. And Edmund Hillary buried a cross under the snow at the Everest. So many people, they are just leaving their memorable things there. So how many people here, they left their remembrance there? One person, name was not mentioned here. He just left the picture of Guru Nanak, Then Rawat, who left a picture of goddess Durga. Pudurji left a lyric of God Buddha. And finally, Edmund Hillary buried a cross under the snow at the Everest. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people, they just kept their remembrance of climbing the mountain over there on the top of the Mount Everest. So these 4 people, they left their remembrance. Children, look at here the last passage of this summary. He also says that every person has within him his own mountain peak. Climbing this inner peak is also important, as this climb will also change him. He also adds that perhaps the internal summit is even higher than the Everest. So he also says something about the one's own internal peak that should also be climbed by everyone. So that's all from the summary, children. Let's see the conclusion. The conclusion of the summit within is that we can overcome any obstacles or situation in life if we have endurance, persistence and willpower. So these are the 3 qualities one should have to face and overcome any obstacle and situation in his own life. So that is the conclusion of the chapter, the Summit Within, chapter 5, prose, children. So that's all from the summary and conclusion. Let's move on to the unit 4 poem, The Last Bargain. Children, let's see the summary and the conclusion of the chapter, unit 4 poem, The Last Bargain. Children, let's see the chapter 4 poem, The Last Bargain. Look at here, the summary of the poem, The Last Bargain here. The Last Bargain is a poem written by the famous and Bengali poet Rabindranath Tagore. It is a poem about a person looking for a job. The speaker in the poem is searching for a job in which he does not have to lose his freedom. He receives the first from the king. The king offers him power in return for his labor, but he refused the king's offer. So, this poem is written by famous and renowned Bengali poet Rabindranath Tagore. So, here the boy is just waiting for offer from the king, and the king offers his power, but he refused the king's offer. So that was the first person he met, and he seeks for the job. First, in the beginning, he receives the job from the king, and the king offered him the power, but the boy refused the king's offer. Look at here the next paragraph. He receives the second offer from a rich man. First, he receives offer from the king, and the king offered his power, but the boy refused the king's offer. Secondly, he offered him a lot of gold in return for his labor, but the speaker refuses his offer also. He receives the third offer from a beautiful girl. First one, he got offer from the king. The king gave some power, but he refused it. Secondly, he got offer from a rich man. The rich man gave lots of gold, but the boy refused it again. Thirdly, the next person is a beautiful girl. She says that she will give him smiles in return to his labor. The speaker refused her offer too. End of the poem, he finds a child playing on the seashore. The child says that he will offer him nothing in return for his services. The speaker accepts the child's offer, as he can still be a free man. So, finally, he accepts the small child's offer. The child says that he will offer him nothing in return for his services. The speaker accepts the child's offer, as he can still be a free man. So, this was the poem, The Last Bargain, children. Look here, the explanation of the poem one by one. But here, The Last Bargain is a poem describing the story of a man who is in search of a job. He wants a job in which he can work without losing his freedom. The speaker receives the offer from powerful king, a rich man, and a beautiful girl, but turns all of them down. Finally, he accepts the offer of a small little child, which is the last bargain. The speaker receives the first offer from the king early in the morning. King possesses more power than wealth. Thus, the king offers him power in return for his services. But the speaker thinks that his power is not much worth it. It may fade soon. So he refuses to accept the king's offer. So first the king's offer was refused by the boy. Then next comes the rich man. It's the second offer from the rich man in the midday. So within a day he got so many offers. So in the early morning he got offer from the king, and secondly in the midday he got offer from the rich man. The rich old man offered him a lot of gold for his services. The gold and wealth did not attract the speaker. So he feels that the money will spend soon and it cannot buy everlasting happiness. So he thus refused his offer also. So he refused that offer also. In the evening, there was a natural beauty and flowers around all. A beautiful girl with a pretty smile offers him smiles in return for his service. The speaker feels that her happiness was sorrowful in disguise. So soon this happiness will also once fade away. So as he did not find it also so suitable for him. So he also written her offer down. Ultimately, while he was walking, he reaches the seashore. There he finds an innocent child playing with seashells. He plays there with him. The child says that he can pay nothing in return for the labor of the speaker. So here, all from the beginning, he got so many offers from all the people, but he refused it. But here, the little child, he doesn't have anything, so he cannot pay anything in return for the labor. But the speaker accepts his offer. He feels that while playing with the child, he will not lose his freedom. He will still be free, a free man, and will receive everlasting happiness playing with the innocent child. First, he accepts the offer of a small little child there, but he cannot pay anything in return of the labor. So he feels happy and he accepts this offer and he wants to be still free. He will not lose his freedom. So this was the last bargain that made by the speaker, accepted as he was not to compromise his freedom. End of the poem Last Bargain. Look at the conclusion of the last bargain here. For real and everlasting happiness, we do not need power, money, or beauty. So if you want happy lifelong, we need not have power, money, or beauty. We need only the freedom and innocence. We can make a person's life happy and contented. So once if you want to be happy, you need to have freedom and innocence within you. That is the real everlasting happiness that one should need in their life. So that is the conclusion of the poem The Last Bargain, children. Children, let's revise and see the summary and conclusion for the supplementary Unit 4, The Treasure Within. Children, let's see the summary and the conclusion of Supplementary Reader, Chapter 4, The Treasure Within. Look at here, summary of the story, The Treasure Within. The Treasure Within is written by Nizam Ezekiel. The lesson is about Mr. Hafiz Contractor, who is an eminent architect. Eminent means intelligent architect. He was not good at his studies. When he was a child, when he was in the school. His inclination was more towards sports. His interest was more in sports only. Also, he got punishments from the teachers. He was the leader of a gang and indulged in gang fights. So he was the leader of the gang and he used to fight with the gang people also. And he had an interest in sports only. Also, he used to get punishments from the teachers. On the advice of his principal, he started to study and score 50% marks in SSLC. So, after he got the advice from the principal, he started to study well and he scored 50% marks in the SSLC exam. So, that's all from the first paragraph, children. Let's move to the second paragraph here. He took admission in Jai Hind College and then came in touch with an architect who was his cousin husband. The architect realized that he was talented and asked him to join in the College of Architecture. He passed the exam in first class and is today one of the most successful architect in the country. So this was the hint of the story. He took admission in the Jai Hind College and he came in touch with an architect who was his cousin's husband. The architect realized that he had some talent in him and he told him to join in the College of Architect. There he passed the exam in first class and now he became one of the most successful architect in the country. So that's all from the hint. Let's see the detailed study of the story here. This chapter is an expert from an interview between Mr. Hafiz Contractor and Miss Bela Raja. This chapter is an expert from an interview between Mr. Hafiz Contractor and Miss Bela Raja. Hafiz Contractor has had unhappy schooling. He was good in studies in the first and second year, but he seemed to lose interest in studies from the third standard onwards. He was scared of mathematics and had nightmares about the mathematics examination. So as he was dull in studies and also he hated the subject mathematics and he used to get nightmares. Nightmare means terrible dream, scary dream about the mathematics examination. He often saw a dream of appearing in the maths examination not knowing anything. He used to get maths examination, he often gets some nightmares, that is dream appearing like a maths examination not knowing anything. As a student, he was more inclined towards the game and playing pranks on others. So as he was a student in his school, he was more inclined, he was very interested towards games and playing pranks on others. He was a very good sportsman and was the senior champion for many years. Also, he was the captain of the cricket team at school. He says that he cleared his examinations only by copying and cheating. So he cleared, that is, he passed out all his examination only by copying others' paper and by cheating the teachers. So, however, in class 11, his principal called him to give him piece of advice. The principal told him that he is a good student though he never studied. Principal told him that you are a good student but you are not studying properly. He also told contractor that until now you took good care of him but now he will have to take care of himself. He urged him to study. So here the principal advised that the contractor till he was taking care of the boy, but now you have to take care of yourself. And the principal advised him and he just compelled him to study here onwards. The contractor followed the principal advice. So finally, after he received the advice from the principal, the contractor followed the principal advice and would only go for prayers, eat and study. Thereafter, he started to be a disciplined boy and thereafter he started to study well. As a result, he scored 50% marks in his SSLC exams. On being asked by Miss Bela that was he punished in school, he replied that he received caning almost every week. The interviewer, Miss Bela, asked this question, what about the punishment that you received in school? He immediately replied that he received so many caning. Caning means beating with a stick. Almost he got beating with a stick every week. So that is the reply he gave to the interviewer, Miss Bela. However, it did not affect him as he was more interested in playing. Not only this, but he would also indulge in group fights. So not only in playing, but he also interested in group fighting. Was a gang leader. He was a gang leader. He remembered that one day he was not in a mood of study. He played Chor Police for 1 whole hour. So Chor Police is a game. He played the game for 1 whole hour. After school, he wished to join the army, but his aunt and mother did not let him to join even the police. So he wanted to join in the army after schooling, but his aunt and mother, they refused to join in the army and even in the police. So with some influence, he got admission in the Jai Hind College. There he was supposed to study French, but being weak in French, he took the help of his cousin. Her husband was an architect. So here the cousin's husband, who is the key of that story, and he just turned his life. He became a great architect now. So her husband was an architect, and eventually he started going to his office in order to learn French. So one day he saw an employee drawing a window detail, which is very advanced drawing. Looking at it, he told him that this drawing was wrong, as the window drawn will not open. He won the bet, and the cousin's husband asked him to draw a few specific things. He did it immediately. The architect got highly impressed by this, and he asked him to join and study architect, as this was the turning point in the Hafiz contractor's life. So in the College of Architect, only students with 80 to 90% were admitted. The principal allowed him to appear for the entrance examination with the condition that if he doesn't do well, he will not be allowed to join. He got A plus grade. After that, he always got first class throughout the year. So after he became an architect, he went to see Mrs. Gupta, his teacher, who had at once told him to become an architect. So here he is just pinpointing an incident that was happened at school, and he just mentioning a teacher name, that is Mrs. Gupta. She is the only teacher who told he is going to become an architect. He says that school life made him street smart. He closely observes a silent to understand his taste, and then makes a sketch spontaneously. According to him, his sketches are his mathematics. So that's all from the summary of the story, The Treasure Within. Here in this story, how the character Mr. Hafiz contractor, as he even he was a dull student, he became one of the world's greatest architect in the future. So he says that school life made him smart. He closely observes a silent to understand his taste, then makes a sketch spontaneously. According to him, his sketches are his mathematics. So whatever he drawn, he scribbled in the school days, that all become the mathematics, and the sketches becomes the mathematics in the future, and that leads to an great architect in the future. So that's all from the summary of the story, The Treasure Within, chapter 4, children. Let's move on to the next supplementary, chapter 5, Princess September. Children, let's see the summary of the story, unit 5, supplementary. The title of the chapter, Princess September. Let's see the summary of the chapter 5, supplementary, Princess September. Look at the summary here. The author of the story is William Somerset Maugham. It is a story about the Princess September. The king had gifted a parrot to all the 9 princes, but Princess September parrot died. While she was weeping all in her room, a little bird came into her room. He sang about the king's garden, the golden fish, and the willow tree. The princess caged the bird, but it could not sing. Later, she understood her fault and realized him. The bird used to come to her and sing for her. She was then married to a king of Cambodia and lived a happy life. So, this was the hint of the story. Let's see the complete detailed study of the story now in a summary. In this story, the king and queen of Siam. In this story, the king and queen of Siam have 9 daughters. The queen finds it confusing to remember all their names. So thus, the king decided to name them after the months. So he named the youngest of them as September. The king had the habit of giving gifts to others in his birthday. One year, on his birthday, he gave a green parrot in a golden cage to each of his daughters. The princes were happy and they used to spend an hour daily with them. The parrot said, "God save the king and pretty Polly," in 7 languages. So here, the king and queen of Siam have 9 daughters. It is difficult to find them and to remember their names. They just decided to call them after the months. So they named the youngest, the last daughter, as September. The king had a habit of giving gifts to others on his birthday. In one of his birthday, he gave a parrot in a golden cage to all his daughters. Princes were happy and they spent their hour daily with them and they practiced them with so many languages, with 7 languages, and they practiced that to say as God save the king, pretty Polly, in 7 languages. One morning, Princess September found her parrot dead. She was very sad and she wept and wept. Queen told the maids not to put her to sleep without supper. But as they had to go to a party, they left her crying and went. She saw a little bird coming into her room. It started to sing about the king's garden, the golden fish, and the willow tree, etc. In all this, she forgot to have supper. One morning, Princess September found her parrot was died inside the golden cage. She was very sad and she just cried a lot. But Queen told her servants that she should not sleep without the supper. But as they want to go for a party, they just left her alone as crying and they went. She saw a little bird coming into her room and it started to singing in a beautiful voice and singing about the king's garden, golden fish, and the willow tree. So immediately after listening to that music, she forgot about her supper even and she stopped crying. Bowed to the princess, the bird asked her if she would keep it with her in her place of the parrot. The bird was not pretty. Even the princess clapped her and it sang. She fell asleep. So immediately the bird spoke to the Princess September and it asked the bird to keep it in her cage, even though the bird is not pretty, not beautiful, but the princess clapped her hands and she accepted her. It started to sing very beautifully. She fell asleep. She fed it with her own hands, also bathed him. So she took care of the bird very well. She took him to the king's and queen's area and to her sisters. Even everyone was delighted to see and hear its song. King was very much impressed and happy about the birds singing and said that he would love to hear its song. He is tired of listening to the parrots saying that pretty Polly and God save the king. The other princes were jealous of Princess September. They asked September to buy a new parrot, but she said that she had already has a pet bird. It sings sweet songs like a nightingale, so she does not need a parrot. So, as they all got jealous, they told the Princess September to buy a new parrot, and she refused her opinion, replied to them that I already had a bird. It was singing so beautifully like a nightingale, so I don't want any parrot. She refused them. She rejected them. They told her that the birds flies in and out any time. Thus she should keep him in a cage as someday it may not return. So they cunningly they told that September that you just keep this bird inside a cage. Otherwise, at any time it may fly and won't come back. So this was the cunning trick that was made by the other sisters. She was worried about the bird as it took long to return. So she put in the cage on being asked by the bird. She said that it will be safe in the cage from the cats. So here Princess September replied to the bird, she just keeping it inside the cage because to safeguard you from the cats. The birds asked her to open the cage the next day, but she refused. So the bird cried and asked the girl, Princess September, to open the door, but Princess September refused it. Princess September asked him to sing, but it could not sing. As it is inside the cage and it was arrested inside the cage, but the bird was very much sad and it couldn't sing a beautiful song to Princess September. It wanted to see the trees and rivers, etc. It did not eat food also. So the bird requested the princess to leave him alone and to fly over the trees and the rivers. But she refused it so that it did not eat a food also. The next day, the bird told her that if he is not free, he cannot sing and he will die. So immediately, the next day, the bird told to Princess September, if you free me, I can sing, otherwise I cannot sing, I will die. He thus set it free. Immediately after listening to the words of the bird, realized about the mistake and she set it free. The bird flew away with a promise to return back. He kept her window open. The bird returned. It sang lovely songs to her. So the promise of the bird, she just opened the door and the bird flew away with a promise telling that I will return back again soon. She just kept her window open, but the bird returned and sang a beautiful song to her. September grew very beautiful and got married to a king of Cambodia. However, her sisters were ugly, were married to king's counselors, but Princess September grew so beautifully and she married to a king of Cambodia. So that's all from this story, children. Chapter 5, Supplementary Reader, Princess September. Children, let's revise the first grammar chapter, chapter 4, Conjunctions. What is meant by conjunction? A conjunction is a joining word. It joins the word with a group of words and sentences, such as words like and, but, or, so, for, nor, yet, because, although, will, after, before, that, so that, unless. So these are the words that used to join words and sentences. That is known as conjunction, children. So look at here, kinds of conjunction here. First type of conjunction is coordinating conjunction. Second type, subordinating conjunction. Third type, correlative conjunction. What is meant by coordinating conjunction? Coordinating conjunction or the conjunction that joins the words, phrases and clause of similar grammatical structure or of equal importance. See here, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So for shortly we can call it as fanboys. Fanboys or acronym for the short form of the conjunction coordinating conjunctions. So next thing, usage of coordinating conjunction. See here, for introduces reason or purpose. So for is a conjunction that used to introduce a reason or purpose. Then and makes addition or joins an idea or sentences. Nor adds agreement with something negative. Nor adds agreement with something negative. Then next one, but shows a contrast. But shows a contrast. Then or introduce an option or introduce an option or possibility. The next coordinating conjunction, so introduce a result or decision. So introduce a result or decision. The next coordinating conjunction is yet. Yet emphasizes a contrast. Yet emphasizes a contrast. So look at the example here, children. She bought a jacket and a sweater. And the next example, we went to post office but it was closed. It was closed. The next one, subordinating conjunction. What is meant by subordinating conjunction? Subordinating conjunction are the words which joins the dependent and subordinate class with the independent main class. See here, the words are, the conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions are that, after, before, it, whether, though, although, unless, as, when, since. Here, usage of the subordinating conjunctions, as long as, as soon as, before, after, when, will, until, indicates the time. Where, wherever. These are the conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions that indicate the place. As, because, since, why. These are the subordinating conjunctions that indicate the reason. Than, in order, that, so that. These are the conjunctions that indicates the purpose. So look at the example here. I went to bed early because I was extremely tired. So these are the example for subordinating conjunction. I shall eat my lunch when my mother comes home. So these are the examples of subordinating conjunction, children. Next conjunction is correlative conjunction. What is meant by correlative conjunction? Conjunction that are used in pairs are called correlative conjunction. For example, both and, either or, though yet. Usage of correlating conjunctions here. Both and links the words. Either or, the verb must agree with the subject closest to it. So these are the usage of correlative conjunction. See the example here for correlative conjunction. Both and. Both Rita and her brother are very smart. Either go from here or sit properly. So these are the two examples for correlative conjunctions. So children, conjunction or the word that joins the phrases or the words in a sentence. And there are three kinds of conjunction: coordinating conjunction, subordinating conjunction and correlative conjunctions. So learn the definitions and do the exercise properly, children, using the proper conjunction according to the sentence. So that's all from the conjunction part, 4th chapter, that is conjunction, children. Let's move on to the 5th chapter, that is adjectives. See the grammar chapter 5, that is adjectives. See here the definition for the adjective. An adjective modifies or gives more information about a noun or pronoun. So what is meant by adjective? An adjective modifies or gives more information about a noun or pronoun. Adjectives tells about the quality, quantity, number or order of the noun that it describes. The next thing, adjective of quality. What is meant by adjective of quality? The answer for the question, what kind? That is the adjective of quality. Look at here the example for adjective of quality. A hungry fox chased a cat. What kind of fox? Hungry fox. So what kind? Answer for the question, what kind, is the adjective of quality. So in this sentence, hungry fox chased a cat. What kind of fox? hungry fox. So that is known as adjective of quality, children. Moving on to the degrees of comparison of adjective. So kinds of degrees of comparison. There are three kinds of degrees. First one is positive degree, second one is comparative degree, and the third one is superlative degree, children. What is meant by positive degree? When we speak about only one person or thing and the adjective is in its base original form and there is no comparison, it is called as positive degree. For example, tall, big, fat, thin, etc. These are all called as positive degree. So positive degree will not compare with any person. It speaks about only one person or thing and the adjective will be in the base original form without no comparison, without any comparison. Then it is known as positive degree, children. Here, what is meant by comparative degree? When we compare two person or things with the adjective, change its form, it is called as comparative degree. For example, taller, bigger, fatter, thinner, etc. So these are known as comparative degree. So what is meant by comparative degree, children? Comparative degree means when we compare two person or things with the adjective, in that case it will change its form to the second form, that is adjective plus er. So it is known as taller, bigger, fatter, thinner with the er form. In the er form it is known as comparative degree. Superlative degree. Definition for superlative degree is when we compare three or more things and the adjective is it in superlative form, it is called as superlative degree. For example, tallest, biggest, fattest, thinnest, etc. So when we compare more than three or more than things, then the adjective will be in a superlative form, that is adjective plus est, that is tall plus est, tallest, big plus est, biggest. So this is known as superlative degree, children. Children, look at the tabulation: positive, comparative and superlative degree and equality. Positive degree, see here it was given in affirmative, positive degree or otherwise known as affirmative. Tall, comparative degree, taller than, superlative degree, the tallest, equality, as tall as. So next one, funny, funnier than, the funniest, as funny as. Cleverer, cleverer than, the cleverest, as clever as. See here, if the adjective is with one syllable, then we have to add er, est. If the syllable doubled, if the syllable was divided into two syllable, if the adjective had two syllable form, if the adjective ends with y, then in the comparative degree it should be added with ier, in the superlative degree it should be added with iest. If it is without y, you have to add more or most. See here, useful, so two syllable are there. Funny, two syllable are there. Here useful, two syllable are there. So if it goes about two syllable, you have to add more and most in the comparative and superlative degrees. So see here, more useful than, in superlative degree the most useful, in equality as useful as. Then obscure means more obscure than, in superlative degree most obscure than, as obscure as. It is the equality. Then see here, in three syllables also, if it is moves on to two syllable or three syllable, then you have to use more and most, children. Some exceptional adjectives are here. See here, good, better, best. So it is completely differ in the comparative and superlative form. That are all irregular adjectives. So he see good, better than, the best. Bad, worse than, the worst. Far, further than, the furthest. Little, less than, the least. So in the equality form, as good as bad as far as little as. So you see the negative, funny, less funny than, the least funny than. So less funny than, the least funny. So this is the negative form. Here another tabulation, children. Big, bigger than, the biggest. Easy, easier than, the easiest. Cheap, cheaper than, the cheapest. Expensive, it goes on three syllable, expensive. So we are just changing over to the more and most form. So instead of er and est, er we are adding more, and for est we are adding most. So see here, more expensive than, the most expensive, long, longer than, the longest, heavy, heavier than, the heaviest. Why we are adding er? Because the adjective ends with y. So we are adding IER and IEST. Be clear in this, children. The next thing, popular, more popular than, the most popular. Happy, happier, because it ends with y, we are adding IER. So happy, happier than, the happiest. Important, important than the most important. Favorite, more favorite than, the most favorite. Difficult, more difficult than, the most difficult. Let's move on to the law of degrees of comparison. First one is, first type, the normal type is as, more than, the most. That is the usual thing, children. The first type of degrees of comparison is no other or none. Here, than, any or all other. The superlative degree, the. In comparative degree, any or all other. No other type is the first type. So no other type is the first type. No other or none plus as adjective plus as. Here comparative degree, than plus any or all other. Superlative degree, the. So that's all. This is the first type. Then moving on to the second type. Very few is the second type. Very few plus as, adjective plus as, comparative degree, than plus many or most other. And in superlative degree, one of the most. Types of degrees of comparison. There are two types of degrees of comparison, children. First one is no other type, and second type is very few type. Superlative degree, see the example sentence given here. Behram is the oldest teacher. So see the first type, Behram is the oldest teacher. Over of comparative degree, the Behram is the older than any other teacher. Behram is older than any other teacher. So this is in the comparative form of the first type. See the next type. No other teacher is as old as Behram. So this is the first type example, from superlative degree to comparative, from comparative degree to positive. So look at here, the next type, it is in the superlative form. Behram is one of the oldest teacher. Behram is one of the teacher. It is in the superlative form. How to change into comparative? Yes. So than plus many or most other we have to add. See the example here. Behram is older than many other teacher. Behram is older than many other teacher. In positive degree we have to use very few. See here, very few teacher are as old as Behram. So this is the second type example, children. Superlative to comparative, from comparative to positive. So that's all from the adjective, children. Chapter 5 from our grammar part. So that's all. We have revised the grammar chapters. Chapter 4 conjunction and chapter 5 adjectives. So children, all the very best for the examination. Go through all the summary that we have revised in this session and the grammar chapters. Learn everything, work out the grammar exercises that was given in the worksheets. All the very best for the examination.